Ketchup. The word comes from the Hokkien Chinese ketchup, a fermented fish sauce that had nothing to do with tomatoes. British sailors discovered it in the 1600s and brought the concept home, where cooks tried recreating it with mushrooms, walnuts, and oysters. The first tomato ketchup recipe appeared in 1812, but it was watery and spoiled quickly. Everything changed in 1876 when Henry Heinz perfected a shelf-stable recipe using ripe tomatoes, vinegar, and spices. His secret was cooking it longer and using more pectin-rich tomatoes, which created that signature thickness. The famous Heinz bottle was designed to be clear so customers could see the quality. That slow, frustrating glug from the bottle isn't a design flaw. Ketchup is a shear thinning fluid, meaning it flows only when force is applied, which is why hitting the 57 mark works. The number 57 was just Heinz's lucky number. Today, ketchup is in 97% of American households. What started as fermented fish sauce became the defining taste of American diners and French fries: mustard. Ancient Romans were grinding mustard seeds and mixing them with grape juice as early as 42 AD. The name comes from the Latin mustum ardens, meaning burning must. In the 13th century, Dijon monks perfected their technique. Yellow mustard is purely American, invented in 1904 by George French for the St. Louis World's Fair. He added turmeric for that bright yellow color and toned down the heat for hot dog vendors. The heat isn't there until you add liquid. When crushed seeds meet water or vinegar, an enzyme reaction releases allyl isothiocyanate, the same compound in mustard gas that clears your sinuses and makes your eyes water. Ranch dressing. In 1949, Steve Henson was working as a plumbing contractor in Alaska when he created a buttermilk-based dressing to feed his crew. When he and his wife Gail opened Hidden Valley Guest Ranch in California in 1954, he served it to guests who became obsessed. People started begging to take packets home, so the Hensons began selling dry seasoning mix through mail order. By 1972, demand was so high that Clorox bought the brand for $8 million. The original only came as a dry packet that customers mixed with buttermilk and mayo at home. Everything changed in 1983 when Clorox launched a shelf-stable bottled version. By 1992, Ranch had overtaken Italian as America's favorite dressing. At only 75 years old, Ranch is the youngest sauce on this list, yet it's become so embedded in American food culture that an entire generation can't imagine life without it. Honey mustard. Romans were combining honey and mustard as early as the 4th century. The pairing made sense because honey's sweetness balanced mustard's sharp heat. Germans have been making their sweet mustard version for centuries. But modern honey mustard didn't emerge commercially until the 1970s and 1980s. Everything changed in 1983 when McDonald's introduced Chicken McNuggets and needed dipping sauces. Honey mustard became one of the original options, and suddenly this ancient flavor combination was legitimized as fast food. That exposure made it mainstream across America. It's the oldest flavor combination on this list, but somehow feels contemporary, stuck between ancient Roman dining rooms and modern fast food drive-thrus. Soy sauce. This fermented liquid dates back 2,200 years to the Han Dynasty in China, originally discovered as an accidental byproduct of preserving fish and meat. Buddhist monks seeking vegetarian alternatives adapted the process, fermenting soybeans instead of fish. Traditional brewing takes months or even years. Cooked soybeans and roasted wheat are mixed with koji mold, then combined with salt water and left to ferment in wooden barrels. The Kikkoman family has been brewing soy sauce for 17 generations since the 1600s. The fermentation process creates over 300 distinct flavor compounds. This is where umami was first scientifically identified in 1908 by Japanese chemist Kikunai Ikeda. Industrial production changed everything in the 20th century. acid hydrolyzed soy sauce can be made in days rather than months by chemically breaking down soy protein. Hot sauce. Chili peppers were domesticated 7,000 years ago in Mexico, but bottled hot sauce didn't appear until 1807. The real revolution came in 1868 when Edmund McIlhenny created Tabasco sauce on Avery Island, Louisiana, right after the Civil War. McIlhenny aged his mash of Tabasco peppers, vinegar, and salt in oak barrels for 3 years. 5 generations of his family have run the company using the same process. The recipe was so simple that the patent office rejected his application. In the 1980s, Vietnamese refugee David Tran started making sriracha in Los Angeles under his Huifong Foods brand, named after the ship that brought him to America. The rooster logo represents his zodiac sign. The 2023 sriracha shortage caused panic buying and bottles selling for 10 times retail price. The addiction is real because capsaicin triggers endorphin release, creating a natural high. Mayonnaise. In 1756, the French Duc de Richelieu's chef was stuck during the siege of Mahon in Minorca, Spain, with no cream to make sauce. He improvised by whisking egg yolks with oil, creating an emulsion named after the port city. Egg yolks contain lecithin, which allows oil and water to mix into a stable, creamy sauce that defies normal physics. In 1905, Richard Hellman started selling his deli's mayonnaise from his New York shop, marking the best batches with a blue ribbon. When Best Foods bought the company, they kept Hellman's branding east of the Rockies and used Best Foods in the west. Down south, Duke's mayonnaise dominates because it contains no sugar, creating a Tangier profile. Japan took mayonnaise to another level in 1925 when Kewpie launched their version using only egg yolks and adding MSG for umami depth. Teriyaki sauce. The word combines teri, meaning luster or shine, with yaki, meaning grill or broil, dating back to 17th century Japan. But teriyaki wasn't originally a sauce at all. It was a cooking technique. Japanese cooks would brush a mixture of soy sauce, sake, mirin, and sugar onto fish while grilling, creating that signature glossy finish. The glaze was applied during cooking, not poured from a bottle. Everything changed in the 1960s when Japanese immigrants in Hawaii started adapting their traditional flavors for American tastes. They created bottled teriyaki sauce that could be used as a marinade. In 1961, Kikkoman launched their bottled teriyaki sauce specifically for the American market. The Hawaiian version added pineapple juice, which would horrify traditional Japanese cooks. American adaptation made it thicker and sweeter, adding cornstarch to create a sauce that clings to meat. Hawaii served as the fusion laboratory where Japanese technique met American convenience, creating something new that kept the name but changed everything else.